Well, folks, it is that time once again to get into a review of a new MCU project. This time we're going to be talking about the series Echo. So let's jump into the review of that right now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Today we're going to be reviewing the new series Echo, which is coming to Disney Plus and Hulu for the first time ever. It's dropping on both streaming platforms January 10th. And if that wasn't enough of a surprise, all episodes are dropping at the same time. So there's 5 episodes. Yes, folks, this is a binge drop. There's a lot to talk about before we even get into the series, because first of all, with it dropping on Disney Plus and Hulu, that should tell you one or two things. One, Hulu. We know that Hulu has always sort of been that more mature to adult tone television or series or whatever you want to call it, but rating nonetheless. And Disney Plus has been more or less catered towards the kids. So once Disney or Marvel with the Marvel projects acquire all of the Daredevils and everything back from Netflix, the big question was, what would they do with the other shows that had needed to be the same rating? Would we ever get TVMA back? So yes, this is the first to get the TVMA rating, along with the the debut of the simultaneous drop on both Hulu and Disney Plus. So with that being said, when you talk about Punisher, Daredevil, Jessica Jones, the Defenders, all of that, this fits sort of in that aesthetic. The second thing is the binge drop. All episodes at once, that's not like the MCU. So what does that mean? And then there's only 5 episodes. I tell you this, my thoughts was they had no confidence in this show. You know, it's Echo. It's not a very popular character. It's, you know, this character sort of exists in that space with Daredevil, which we're obviously waiting for that series to drop. Amongst the others folks within that sort of conversation and whatnot, but Echo, yeah, we've seen Echo where she made her debut in Hawkeye, and that was interesting. But for that show to get, for that character to get its own show, I definitely had questions. It's just like Hagatha. It's like, I don't know if I need it, you sort of say. And, you know, the MCU has definitely been struggling with their content as of recently in terms of the money is bringing in and the ratings. So to me, I was definitely overly hesitant in terms of my interest into this show. But I did get a chance to check this out pretty early. So me recording this is about a month until this is actually going to drop. And I'm going to say, for the first 3 episodes, because they did supply 3 episodes, which the first episode is 49 minutes, the second episode is 39 minutes, and the third episode is 42 minutes. I'm here to say that I enjoyed this for a couple of reasons. One, I gotta keep it 100 with you all. Alaqua is absolutely born to play this character, without a doubt. Alaqua Cox, who stars as Echo, is flat out fantastic. I had a chance to meet her at D23 last year. She's a fantastic person. I was excited for all of the news that had dropped that weekend in terms of the MCU. And even with my hesitations about this show and where does it exist and so on, I still was excited because the representation here. I mean, Alaqua not only provides representations for the deaf community, the Native American and indigenous people community, but those with physical disabilities. And I love to see it. And with that, she absolutely brings this character to life and kicks ass. The biggest plus to me in this series is the fight choreography. It is top tier. There's some very, very good scenes. And the cinematography around the fight choreography just brings the action to life. So I by all means, if just the biggest things that I enjoyed with the series, it was Alaqua's performance and the fight choreography and the scenes, and majority of the scenes, but all the scenes with her. But whenever there was a fight, all the fights I thought were done pretty solid to damn near excellent. So look for B to A tier type of fighting in terms of what you expect in the MCU. I'm not going to go as far as saying in all of television and all of film, because it's not on that level. But it's definitely some very, very good fighting in terms of the MCU. And that says a lot, considering that Daredevil has one of the best fight scenes of all time. But this definitely does have some really good moments. But it is gritty. So again, it does go back into that aesthetic as Daredevil, Punisher, and so on. There's some blood splatter pretty early in the first episode. Definitely a little bit of a jaw-dropping moment, because you're not really expecting that, even with the TVMA rating. And then they kind of ease back on it a little bit by the second episode. Then the third episode, they give you a little bit more of that. But with that being said, in terms of the MCU relevance, they definitely load that up pretty early in the first episode, and then it becomes Maya Lopez's story from that point on, where she returns back to Oklahoma, and this was when she kind of reconnects with her past. She reconnects with her indigenous roots, or Native American roots, and looking to sort of just embrace her family and her community, trying to get kind of reacclimated with things, but at the same time, she has the utmost and the highest ambition to be the Queenpin. So clearly, as we know, this picks up after the events of Hawkeye, which was in 2021 in New York City. So they make sure they catch you up with all that. So you're getting some of those moments, or shall I say, you're getting this vantage point from Maya Lopez's perspective from the events of what was happening in Hawkeye. So you're going to get some MCU characters that you would expect to be in this. Along with that, you have Vincent D'Onofrio, who is Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, as well, and their whole fallout with him, with the results of at the conclusion of Hawkeye being shot, and that picks up after that. But again, she returns back to Oklahoma because she is again trying to reconnect with her community, her family, and so on. But ultimately, she wants to be the Queenpin. But her removing herself from New York did not mean that her trouble would not follow her. That brings the fight there, a war there, the chaos there. So with that being said, there is, with the 5 episodes, there's like less visual effects to what we've seen in previous episodes. But even when they do use the visuals, without a doubt, you notice them. It's very MCU-like. They're good, they're polished, but you know, they have their certain aesthetic about how they make their visuals look. So I fear not when they talk about sort of not having that traditional budget or that traditional sort of just presentation in terms of the visuals. It's just fewer episodes. It's not like they lessen the quality of any sorts. In regards to the indigenous people, it's cool to see the culture. And when I say the culture, you're seeing sort of like rituals, you're seeing game, sport, community, dance, you're seeing all of that. So the representation is something of interest, especially for me, and I think for you as well too, as they had that on display. Because when you talk about Maya sort of gaining her powers, she has to go into her roots, and you have to kind of see the origin and sort of just the transference of the powers through the different generations. And I say that to say one other thing too. The series does not start with the traditional Marvel banner. It definitely opens up in a way that we haven't seen in any other way. And this is sort of our introduction to Marvel Spotlight title screen. And after that follows a different opening, sort of going back in the past and seeing just the powers go through time, essentially, through different folks within her bloodline. But yeah, Marvel Spotlight. It's not the traditional Marvel banner that we usually see. It's Marvel Spotlight. So I'm not sure what that actually means. I didn't look it up, but there's that. But I think the other really important thing with this is that it's the most un-Marvel show of Marvel shows. Like yes, there's characters that you're going to recognize pretty early, but after that, it focuses on these new characters. One being her cousin Bonnie, who they're not on the same page. You can almost say they were kind of raised as sisters, but there's some friction between the two of them. And then Biscuits, a new character that's introduced, who happens to be one of my favorite characters, is her cousin, also a sidekick as well too. So they focus on new characters. They focus on the culture. There's not a ton of Easter eggs or MCU stuff outside of the stuff pretty early in the first episode. But other than that, it does start to really feel like its own show that does not exist in the MCU. So for one thing, if you're not an MCU fan, I think you could pick this up and enjoy it. The second thing I think is that you just can appreciate this whether you're MCU fan or not, and just its own entirety, that they're trying to do something different. And I think that is a good way to go, considering that they've been having some trouble in the past. But it's a ton of fun. Good fight, a good interesting story. You absolutely are just marveled by Alaqua Cox's performance. She kicks ass. She gives you comedy. She's just a very, very entertaining character. Maya is a very entertaining character, and Alaqua just brings her to life, along with Biscuits, who is just, again, one of my favorite characters there. But yeah, without a doubt, it's not a secret. We know that Daredevil appears. Everybody already leaked that pretty early. But yeah, you know, Wilson Fisk, Vincent D'Onofrio, he brings and does exactly what he's supposed to do. He's one of my favorite characters in all of Marvel. And Vincent D'Onofrio is one of my favorite actors in all of Hollywood. So when you talk about perfect casting, Vincent and Wilson Fisk, absolutely. You have to also look at Alaqua Cox and Maya Lopez as another like perfect casting, a person who's just born to play this part, which again makes this series just very stellar across the board, because it's just that solid of a show. It's not so heavy on the comic book stuff. It's not so heavy in being an MCU project. It's just a very good, solid show that anybody can appreciate. And certainly I think a good trajectory to get Marvel sort of kick-started back on a good foot in 2024. So with that being said, check out Echo. With all of my hesitations coming into this and all my questions as to why do we need this and all etc, 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 I enjoyed these first 3 episodes. I cannot wait to check out the final 2. Again, they are all dropping January 10th, whether you have Hulu, whether you have Disney Plus. Disney Plus also has Hulu. One way or another, you will find a way to watch them all. You got 5 episodes. That's close to 5 hours of content. And for sure, you're going to be hooked by the first one, especially for everybody that's looking for all that Easter egg stuff and whatnot. But if not, you absolutely will just be thrilled and marveled by Alaqua Cox's performance as Maya Lopez. Check it out, folks. Jump in the comments. Let me know your thoughts about it. And as always, stay tuned for more reviews very soon.